Good morning, Texoma. I'm Ashley Fitzwater, and this morning we are taking an inside look into the Skywarn 6 Storm Team, also Storm Week, and kicking off our Skywarn 6 Weather Roadshow. There is a lot to talk about.
Yes, there is.
Joining me now this morning is our very own Skywarn 6 Certified Broadcast Chief Meteorologist, Ken Johnson. Ken, thank you for being here.
Well, it's great to be here. I'm glad you had me come in on this Sunday morning.
Absolutely. We're excited to talk about all the things coming up because, you know, it's been cold, it's been yucky, the winter mess, finally out of here. But now we're talking about severe weather because we're getting closer to that time.
Well, you know, we've had this long, cold winter, and just over the last few weeks, we finally kind of gotten some spring-like weather. The pollen counts are up. Things are starting to bud out a little bit, so everybody's thinking spring fever warning in full effect.
Yeah.
And with the spring comes our severe weather season. So when it starts getting warm like this, my mind starts focusing on thunderstorms and severe weather, warm, windy weather, that kind of stuff. And it's just right around the corner. It will be here very soon.
And I know you guys have already been preparing for Storm Week because there is a week, Storm Week, and it's set to kick off next Sunday, right?
That's right, and the purpose of Storm Week is basically what we've done. The whole Skywarn 6 weather team all has come up with their own story ideas, and each of them focuses on a different aspect of severe weather. And not all severe weather is actually a thunderstorm. Some of it comes from dry weather, some of it comes from heat. But it's a great week. It's a great opportunity to not only be entertained, but also to learn a lot of important facts and information about severe weather. Not just stuff that's going to help save your life, but also things that maybe you didn't know was true about severe weather.
Your story, for example, is focusing on tornadoes. You've seen a lot of severe weather, it seems, in Oklahoma.
Right.
And you were talking about this just before we started the show. And it is interesting how it seems like we've missed it. You know, it comes real close, but then the bad storms hit just north of us.
We have lucked out a lot here in Texoma. The storms have kind of developed down our way, but they don't get real strong and produce tornadoes until they get up to the north across central Oklahoma. Central Oklahoma, especially last year, really crushed hard with significant tornadoes. 2 EF5 tornadoes, all within about the same couple of weeks of one another. You had one that hit more, and the other one was El Reno tornado. Actually, the El Reno was not officially classified in EF5 because it was out in the middle of an open field, but this was a 2.6-mile wide tornado that had measured wind speeds by mobile Doppler radar of up over 300 miles per hour, which would classify it as an EF5, but since it was an open field, it didn't hit anything, and we classify our tornadoes based upon damage, so therefore it couldn't be officially rated an EF5, but by all practical standards it was. It was the largest tornado ever on record.
Wow.
2.6 miles wide, huge. Unfortunately, I believe there was a number of people killed, I think 4 storm chasers, including Tim Samaras, who was one of the main tornado research scientists in the field. Unfortunately, the tornado expanded real fast, and unfortunately they were trapped, and it killed those guys, the 3 researchers, 3 scientists that were out there in the field. I actually had a chance to witness this firsthand. I knew the severe weather was going to be out of Texoma that day, so I made a trip up with our storm chaser, Eric Fox. We went to central Oklahoma, and I got the opportunity to witness this firsthand.
Wow.
I watched this thing grow from just a little cloud into just huge, massive ball of dust. So it was very fascinating for me to see, and the thing about it is it helps sharpen my focus.
Yeah.
I can see the stuff in the field. I can come back here. I can look at it. I can forecast it. It helps me better forecast whenever I'm on the air giving you severe weather coverage. But the whole bottom line of this is there's been a lot of severe weather just up to our north. There hasn't been a lot of severe weather here in Texoma. We've just barely missed out, and it's just a matter of time before the weather patterns change and that severe weather shifts back to the south. There's nothing that's keeping it from happening here. The same type of weather features present here are present across central Oklahoma. They've just been in the exact spot you need to be in, and we've just been a little bit off, which is good.
Yeah.
It'd be bad if we need to see the rain, of course, but
We don't need to see the
We don't need to see the destruction, but at some point in time, it will happen here again. So that's what my story kind of focuses on. Big severe weather up to our north, hasn't been here, but eventually it will be here.
You were talking a little bit about storm chasers and those who were killed. You know, this year especially, it seems there's been a growing interest in storm chasers, and you're working this into our roadshow this year.
That's right. We got Eric Fox will be a part of our roadshow this year, especially with the big event taking place at Sykes Center Mall at the end of March. He'll be there. He storm chases for us here at News Channel 6. gives us a bird's eye view on what's going on, streams that video back to us so we can show viewers exactly what's going on in the clouds. One thing that Ashley mentioned, storm chasing has grown a lot, and that has become a problem,
Right.
especially across Oklahoma. I mean, you're having these traffic jams because there's literally thousands of people trying to chase these tornadoes, and most of them have no clue as to what they're doing. They don't have any idea. They're out there trying to get a view of the storm, which becomes very, very dangerous. A matter of fact, one of the storm chasers killed on May 31st in central Oklahoma was an amateur storm chaser. Really didn't know what he was doing. He just wanted to see it. He got out there, got trapped, and unfortunately lost his life.
Oh, it's terrible. So again, you can hear from a storm chaser firsthand. Of course, keep it tuned here. We have the professionals here keeping you covered, always looking out for you. This is just some other ways they are doing that, Texoma. We're going to talk much more about the road show, Storm Week, what you need to know to be prepared. Stick around, Texoma. We'll be right back with much more. Welcome back to Inside Texoma. Once again, we're taking an inside look into the Skywarn 6 storm team, talking about severe weather week, also the road show coming up. But right now, we'd like to move into preparing for tornadoes. You know, it is getting to be that time of the year. Joining me now is our very own Skywarn 6 meteorologist, John Cameron. And John, you are our morning meteorologist, so
Yes.
your focus, of course, is that time. You know, maybe when people are waking up, or maybe they're still sleeping and they get
Right.
woken up by thunder or lightning or a big boom.
Yes.
And so how do you, whenever it comes to maybe preparing your forecast, handle it differently, being that shift?
You know, the good thing about waking up so very early in the morning is perhaps I get a head start on the
Sure.
level of awareness. The thing I would recommend to anyone who's preparing for what could be a stormy night or a tough day the following day as far as a severe weather threat is I would have a NOAA weather radio, something that could wake you up in the morning and let you know that perhaps the storm's maybe just a couple of hours away.
Another thing to always have on hand would be the tornado bucket. And I love this because it's so important to maybe get this together now, right? Don't wait until the night before or the morning of.
Now, you never want to make your plan right when a storm is coming because if you're frightened, if you're scared, you're not going to have a good plan. The first thing you need to do is identify a safe spot in your home.
Yes.
In our home, we have identified my daughter's interior closet as our safe space. So that's where we need to keep all this gear. And it seems like a lot, but when you compress it all together, it probably takes up just a little bit of space that maybe you could fit in a bucket. Therefore, we call it the tornado bucket.
There are things you might not really think
Yeah.
about.
Typically, the biggest mistake folks tend to make is they go to their shelter or they go to their safe spot barefoot. And that's a bad idea because when you look at the photographs or you look at video of a demolished neighborhood, that doesn't look like a kind of place that you want to walk around
Right.
barefoot. So the first order of business, and granted, I don't think everyone's going to want to wear combat boots, but you must protect your feet.
Yeah.
You absolutely must protect your feet because there's going to be nails, there's going to be glass, there's going to be a lot of broken stuff, there's going to be pieces of cars. If your home is significantly damaged or if your neighborhood is damaged, there's going to be debris everywhere. Another thing is if your neighborhood is significantly damaged, they're going to do their best to keep unwanted people out of this disaster area, so you're going to have to identify yourself. You're going to need something that's going to connect you to that home
Sure.
or what perhaps was your home. Also have some cash money ready to go because credit card machines are likely going to be down and you're going to need to use
Yeah.
good old-fashioned folding money, as they call it. Another thing is you should have keys to your car. And it's possible that your car may not be drivable, but at least have those keys ready. Again, that attaches you to a piece of
Yes.
property. Another thing, have a good old-fashioned flashlight. This flashlight actually stands up like a tripod, so that's pretty cool. And then, of course, it folds up to be just kind of a good old-fashioned flashlight. It's also LED, which is uses battery, a little less battery, and it's also very bright.
And batteries, of course. We don't want to forget about
of
batteries.
course, anything you have in your shelter that requires batteries, you need to have backup during the storm. Probably the worst sensation I can think of when you're in your storm shelter, other than perhaps a tornado hitting your home, the storm's past, you're not hearing anything, and you're like, is it safe to come out of
Yeah.
my home. I don't know if there's another storm down the way that might
Right.
come my way. So I tell you what, with a cell phone, not only can you obviously use it as a communication device, but they make apps now to where you can monitor police radios like a police scanner, NOAA weather radios. There's apps for that. So it truly is a remarkable tool.
I see that you have medication there too.
I do. Well, I tell you what, you simply don't want to get yourself in a situation if a tornado comes along and does considerable damage to your home and just turns it into a wreck. You don't want to be searching for
Right.
medication that you're dependent on.
Yeah.
If your life depends on medication, whether it be for you or for your children, you absolutely must have your prescription medication available. Now, granted, I mentioned that we have identified our daughter's interior closet as our safe spot. She's 16, so that's all right. But if she were 6 or 7, she might get a little snoopy,
Oh,
and you don't
yes.
want her
Keeping that
messing with-
medication in there,
So
sure.
make sure that stuff is secure. Obviously, a first aid kit makes sense. You're probably wondering what the towel and the
Yes.
duct tape is all about. Well, there's a possibility that you may have to tend to someone with an injury that's beyond the call of just
Oh.
a standard
First aid kit, sure.
So these rags can help to dress wounds, and the duct tape can be used to wrap wounds. And, you know, push comes to shove. If you don't have bandages, you can actually use duct tape
Wow.
to bandage wounds. Now, granted, it's only going to be a temporary
Right,
fix. You
sure.
don't want to keep it on there for a long period of time, but these can come in very handy.
Very smart idea.
Food and water obviously makes sense. If it'll last in your pantry, it'll last in your safe area. If you're dealing with cans, always helps to have a
Right.
can opener because you can't really, otherwise it's going to be difficult to get that thing open. Granted, in this modern day and age, we have the peel top cans and peanut butter crackers. They're just the universal go-to thing because you can get sources of protein, a
Yes.
little bit of energy from the peanut butter. Water is your saving grace. Multi-purpose there, obviously for human sustenance, but also for dressing wounds,
Right.
cleaning out wounds, and that type of thing. I wouldn't consider everything here vital, but if we're talking about your home possibly being damaged by a tornado, to anything that will kind of lessen the burden.
Oh
of
yeah,
what is-
comfort
what is
you and be
ahead
able to
of
help you. So this is kept right where you are. So
Yeah.
this is where you're hiding or taking shelter from a
Yes.
storm should you have to go to that safe spot you said. That way it's there.
There have been situations where a tornado has come through, it's done damage to a community, and while people were safe in their underground shelters, in their safe rooms, debris has blocked the entry and they need help. Here's another idea, an air horn, like you
Oh.
might hear at a
Right.
sporting event, or a whistle. A whistle obviously takes some human effort to blow, but if it gets
great idea.
someone's attention, again, we're talking about the possibility of a heavily damaged community where there might be several people who need help and several homes that have been damaged, and you may have to do everything in your power to get the attention of the people who are there to come to your rescue.
Absolutely. Great advice, John. Again, now's the time to do this Texoma, and that way you don't have to give it a second thought. Well, John, it's always great having you on, and we just appreciate all you do, so thank you so much. We're going to be right back with much more here on the Inside Texoma. Welcome back to Inside Texoma. Once again, we're taking an inside look at our Skywarn 6 storm team, specifically talking about the Weather Roadshow and, of course, Storm Week that is coming up. Our very own Skywarn 6 meteorologist Jake Reed is joining us now. And Jake, thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and we're excited to jump right into this. Can you tell us the first date?
The first day, we're going to be doing these road shows every Thursday in March, or I should say the first 3 Thursdays in March. And what we're looking at, the first day, it's going to be March 6th. We're going to be going to the Holiday Elementary Cafeteria. All of them are going to be from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. The first one is on March the 6th in Holiday. Then the following Thursday, which is March 13th, we're going to be going to Vernon High School. And from what I'm told, Vernon always has a really good
Yes.
turnout, so we're really excited about that. Also from 7 to 8 p.m. And then our last sort of traditional road show presentation is going to be on March 20th at the Bowie Junior High School auditorium. Really excited about that because Bowie this past May had a lot of tornadoes, so a lot of people are going to be wanting to know exactly, what happened with that and just kind of getting a recap on their severe weather situation. And that's really kind of the focus of what our presentation is going to be. It's a little bit different than what people may be used to seeing in the past. It's not just your standard, this is what severe weather is, this is what causes it, this is what you should do. That's going to be a part of it, but the main focus is going to be sort of a look back on tornado history in each of these places. For instance, when we go to Holiday, we're going to be looking at Archer County's tornado history. Every tornado reported from 1950 through 2012, we're going to have a map showing you where the tracks are, the strength of those tornadoes, and if any fatalities or injuries were occurring. For Vernon, we're going to be doing that for Wilbarger County. So this is really looking at sort of like a tornado climatology for the area. This is, the history, because history can teach us a lot about what to expect in the future. And a lot of people, here in Wichita Falls, really all over Texoma, they immediately think back to the 1979 F4 tornado that killed so many people. But there have been many more tornadoes than just that, and it's been a long time since we've had a really strong destructive tornado that's come through this area. And hopefully with this presentation, this is going to say, even though it's been a long time since maybe you've seen a tornado in this particular area, look at the history, look at what is possible. And we're going to be talking about that. And also, we will be doing the severe weather safety and also be talking about some new research that was just released about where tornadoes are more frequent. Is Tornado Alley really where people have been taught it is? And so that's kind of what the focus is going to be. They're going to be an hour long. We are going to have opportunities for people to ask questions. A lot of people, may have questions about other things aside from just your standard severe weather, and we will be on hand to answer those questions. And I'm a weather nerd, and I'm really excited about this. So I know a lot of people in Texoma are excited as well. We're really looking forward to it and hope a lot of people come out to these shows.
Absolutely. And you're going to be the one giving the presentations this year, right? So I know, as you said, it's something that he's very passionate about, something you're working hard on. I love how it's made specifically for each area, too. So, if you live close to the other ones, go check them out, too, because it sounds like it's going to be different presentations at each one.
Yeah,
so.
And what you'll hear later from James Parrish about our last road show is we're going to be at Sykes Center Mall, and what we're going to be doing there, we're going to include the Wichita County tornado history. Of course, we'll be talking a lot about 1979, but also what a lot of people don't realize is that back in 1964, we actually were hit with a stronger tornado, an F5 tornado. It didn't kill as many people. It was not on the ground for as long, so that's why it's not getting as much attention. But, looking back over history, if you really like weather, I really think people will love this presentation.
Absolutely. If you'd like another look at those dates, you can always head to our website for much more, newschannel6now.com. Now, Jake, we talked a lot about tornadoes, and when you think of severe weather, of course you think of tornadoes or severe thunderstorms. Something else, though, that seems to be just as deadly, if not more, which is surprising to me, you said is heat.
That's exactly right, Ashley. When we were sort of getting our ideas together about what stories we were going to do for our Storm Week, which you're going to be seeing those stories in early March, was the fact that heat kills more people annually than any other form of severe weather. So in the severe weather conversation, heat is almost always left out. It's not the first thing you think of, but in 2012, heat killed more people than tornadoes, hurricanes, and lightning combined.
Wow.
And heat also has the highest 10-year average number of deaths. So the story that I'm going to be working on deals with new research that has just come out and trying to give a longer range forecast for a heat wave. A lot of media have been talking about, giving a longer range forecast for a tornado. But this is going to look into what can we do to extend that lead time. The thing is with heat, it's not something that you can see. It's not something you can look back and say, this is the exact moment that I was impacted by heat. With a tornado, you can say, it was April 1979, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. With heat, it just sort of comes and then it's here and it can last for weeks. Another really interesting part to the story, which I was really glad that I got to sit down with Daniel Nix from the city of Wichita Falls, because heat and drought are extremely correlated, and not in a very good way. And I, asked him straightforward, do you see a situation where the lakes just totally dry up if we continue to have these dry summers? You really want to watch this story, because I was even surprised by some of the answers that I was able to get from Daniel Nix, but a lot of really good information coming with this, and you'll see all of our stories the first week of March.
Definitely some interesting research he's going to be bringing you. You want to stay tuned for that. We're going to hear much more about the road show and some other stories that our meteorologists are working on. So, Jake, thank you for your time and for being here this morning.
Thank you.
We need to take a quick break. We'll be right back with much more right here on Inside Texoma. Welcome back to Inside Texoma. Once again, we're taking an inside look into our Skywarn 6 storm team. Joining me now is Skywarn 6 meteorologist James Parrish. James, thank you for being here this morning.
No problem, Ashley.
Well, you know, we just heard from Jake about the road show, and I know we're gearing up, getting really excited, and you're going to be joining him out there. But we want to talk about the finale, the last road show that's going to be here in Wichita Falls, because it's going to be bigger and better, I guess you could say, than years in the past. A lot of things going on.
You know what, actually, we are going to end March with a bang. You know, we are going to have a big event. It's going to be at Sykes Center Mall on March 29th. It will be the last road show that we have for March, and it is going to be a very big one. We are going to have a whole bunch of things out for just about anyone, from kids to adults. We're going to have safety presentations about how to be safe in severe weather. We're also going to have storm chasers there talking about how exactly do they storm chase, so you can interact, talk with them, and probably what you need actually when you're out in the field storm chasing, because a lot of people just think, maybe you just need like a cell phone with radar. Well, that's not exactly the safest way to go about it. The Red Cross and the Texas Blood Institute will also be there. So the Red Cross is going to be talking about exactly how you can be prepared and how you can actually be ready for when severe weather hits. And then you know what? When severe weather does hit, Ashley, there's always people in need. And one of the things that they need, of course, is blood. Just like when any type of catastrophe happens, is that people need blood. So we will actually be having a blood drive at the Sykes Center Mall in the parking lot outside, and that will run from about 12 to 5 o'clock, so come down and give blood. We're also going to have a round table from the 79 survivors of that tornado that did hit Wichita Falls, so you'll be able to talk to them, interact with them, hear their personal stories about how exactly they survived that tornado and what they remember from that very tragic day. We're also going to have storm spotter training from the National Weather Service. So just like the National Weather Service, just like we all need is actual storm spotters, because when we're in here and we're looking at radar, radar isn't exactly perfect. We wish it was, but it's not. So we do need people actually out in the field watching and observing. Nothing is better than what we call ground truth, which is exactly is happening outside.
Absolutely. What's the best way for them to do that? Do they need to email? Do they need to call?
Probably the best way to send it would be weather@kauz.com. But when severe weather hits, Ashley, we are updating Twitter and Facebook like crazy. So just if we're saying that there's a severe thunderstorm warning in Wichita County, just leave a comment on that Facebook page, because I guarantee either Jake, John, Ken, or I will be definitely checking the Facebook page, and we will definitely look at that and say, hey, we're having a viewer that just commented on our Facebook, say they saw 1.5-inch hail, or take a picture of it, or if you're seeing that there's even strong winds or gusty winds, tell us, let us know. And then if you're thinking, you know, this weather is more for me and not really for the kids, we're also going to have a kids corner, and our very own radar will be there as well, playing with the kids. So you know what? If you're afraid, oh, you know, I don't want to come out because I don't know what I'm going to do with my kids. My kids won't enjoy it. We will actually have some things for the kids.
I love it. Real quickly, I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want to touch on this, and that's, you have mentioned something else about severe weather, the drought, right?
That's right, Ashley. The definition of severe weather is weather that has major impacts on society.
Yeah.
And I don't need to tell you that the drought has definitely had a major impact on society. So I wanted to look in exactly why has the drought been so bad in Texoma. So I went down to Texas A&M to actually talk to this Texas state climatologist. And he said, really, we have the oceans currents that are working really against us. There are two things known as the Pacific Decadal Oscillation and the Atlantic Multidecadal Oscillations, and those are tending to bring us dry conditions right now. And unfortunately, those cycles that they're in right now are going to be in those cycles for quite a long time. But there is some good side, because those aren't the only things that affect really our weather or our climate. There's something called El and La Nino that happens in the southern Pacific. Now that's going to shift into an El Nino. So that means that there is a chance that we could see wetter conditions moving forward for the next couple of years. So that's probably the best thing that could happen, is if ocean currents in the southern Pacific are actually going to shift and hopefully bring us more moisture, which means more rain. But unfortunately, Ashley, you know what? Nothing is really a guarantee. So really the only thing is that even though this is going to happen, there's still a chance that we could remain dry, but our chances for rain will generally increase over a year or two period.
All right, well, we're keeping our fingers crossed it's sooner rather than later. Now, you're going to be sharing much more about this this report, and that's going to be coming up. Can you let us know when folks can check that out? It's going to be right here on News Channel 6 during what we call Storm Week, right?
That's right, Ashley. The first week of March, you will hear all of our stories that we're going to come across. I am personally doing a story on this, what exactly is severe weather and why we've seen a drought. And I'm also going to be doing a story about what do we exactly know about tornadoes and what do scientists want to know about tornadoes.
All right.
So very fascinating.
Absolutely. We look forward to them both. James, thank you so much for your time. Lots of information, lots of great information this morning. Of course, from the very best storm team that we have right here at News Channel 6 Texoma, we want to say thank you for joining us again. Make sure you head out to the road shows. Again, the one in Wichita Falls is going to be on the 29th. We hope to see you there. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you back here next Sunday morning for another look inside Texoma.